Hello everyone, it's Evie here, and today I want to talk about self-love. But I don't want to talk about why it's important, because I feel like we all know it's important to love ourselves, and we know why it's important to love ourselves. And when we typically think of self-love, we think about pampering ourselves, or treating ourselves to a bubble bath, or getting a massage, and things like that. And they are important parts of loving yourself. It's definitely important to treat yourself, and we all know that. That's what's talked about more often than not. But what I really want to talk about are the harder parts of self-love, about calling yourself out on your bullshit. That's a part of self-love. That's a huge part of self-love that a lot of us don't really talk about. It's about checking in with yourself. How do you really feel about yourself, about what you're doing in your career or your relationships or any other aspect of your life? We're not just physical beings. We are mind, body, and soul. And so it's important to check in with all of these aspects. But when we talk about self-love, we typically think about body, doing things that make our body feel good. And that's just one part of it. It's so much more. It's about calling yourself out on your limiting beliefs, and taking action, not just being aware. The awareness is important, yes, but take action towards growing, towards this change that you feel needs to happen. And that can be difficult sometimes to call yourself out. And I've had moments where I've had to call myself out because, like, recently I had a question that was on my mind, and I was nervous about it. I was nervous about asking because I didn't know what the answer was going to be. I wasn't sure if I would like what I was going to hear. And I finally had to call myself out because I was spiraling into anxiety. And I told myself, you know what? You need to just ask this question. And I did. I finally did. And I felt so much better just for the act of asking the question. And that's part of self-love. It was a little act of self-love for me because I would rather feel peaceful than anxious. And and so I loved myself enough in that moment to do what I needed to do. And that's what it is. It's not only bubble baths and facials. It's hard work. It really is. Because we don't always want to confront our demons or the things about ourselves that we're not completely happy with. It can be hard, and we have to love ourselves enough to do those things, to look at our relationships and say, am I happy with this? Or let go of a toxic relationship, something that we know that isn't good for us, that we need to let go of, and actually doing that is self-love. And it can be hard, but we need to do these things, and we need to be more aware of these things as being acts of self-love, that I care enough about myself, that I want to be happy with my life, that I want to feel peaceful. And that's important. Asking yourself, what can I do in this moment to feel a little bit more peaceful? What can I do to love myself a little bit more? And taking that action. Because we can give ourselves all the facials we want. We can take all the bubble baths we want. We can meditate. But if we're not doing the other work, the more difficult work, it's for nothing, really, because it's just, we're doing half of the work. And to feel complete, we have to do all of it. To feel like we truly love ourselves, we have to do more work. And that can be so scary. It can be so difficult because change sometimes is scary. I want to grow, but I don't know what's going to happen if I suddenly become this really confident person. And that can be scary. I don't know what's going to happen when I let go of this relationship that's not serving me. And that can be scary. Or it could be, well, what would happen if I set these boundaries? And that can be scary. But if it feels right for us, then we should do it. If it feels like something that's going to bring us more happiness and more peace in our lives, we should at least honor ourselves enough to take those steps. Because that's what self-love is. It's about having a whole life, feeling like you're complete, like you're whole, and you're satisfied with where you are and what you're doing. Being in the moment. That can be hard sometimes because we can worry about this thing that happened years ago and what other people might think about it. And we might also worry about the future and what's going to happen if I do a certain thing, or what's going to happen if I have this conversation with someone. It's about being afraid, because sometimes things just scare us, and that's okay. But it's about being afraid and still taking that action anyway, because we know it's what we need to do. And we can do exercises, you can do journaling, and that might help with bringing subconscious thoughts to the consciousness. And we can do these things, but we need to be willing to do the work, because we'll feel better for it. And it's really about, what would you love to do? What, in this moment, what would you love to do right now? What would make you happy? And what about yourself makes you happy? And I'm not saying like doing all of this work is to just beat up on yourself over every little thing. I'm saying be aware of what holds you back, being aware of your shit, because it can get in our way, and we have to love ourselves enough to stop getting in our own way. And that can be hard. And sometimes I don't know what to do. Like, I realize this, I'm bringing awareness to this thing, and I don't know what to do about it. And in a moment, that's okay, but the moment you realize, okay, this is what I can do about it, that's when you take action. That's when you're showing yourself self-love. That's really what it is. And it's unfortunate that it's not what we talk about. We talk about having spa days and getting our hair done, getting our nails done, and that's what we talk about more than doing the work, doing the hard work. And I think we would be so much better off if we just took the time to get to know ourselves better, took the time to really feel into what it is that we want. What do we want out of life? What do we want in any given moment? And it's okay to change your mind. I do it all the time, and it's okay. You don't have to feel bad because you wanted one thing one moment and the next you feel differently. That happens. We're human. It's part of life. But you have to love yourself enough to be willing to give yourself what you want. And that's the work that we should all be doing. That's what we should be talking about more than bubble baths. They're fun. I like doing it, but I'm aware that that's not all that self-love is. And sometimes self-love is not doing something. If we don't feel like doing it, like, I like exercising, and I'll do it every so often, and sometimes I just physically don't feel like exercising. I feel like I need a break, and it's about, I'm loving myself enough to realize that I need a break and giving myself that break. instead of feeling bad, like, oh, you're supposed to exercise every day. Well, right now I feel like I need to just relax. I need to meditate more instead of exercising. And that's self-love. It's being aware. So be more aware of how you feel from moment to moment, and don't stress about how you think things are supposed to be. It's about going into your heart and feeling into what is right for you, and loving yourself enough to give yourself what you need in any given moment, as opposed to going along with what other people want for you. Because yeah, it's important to take other people's opinions into account sometimes, but ultimately you're the one responsible for your life. So you have to make sure that the choices you make are choices that you feel good about. Do you love yourself enough to let go of things that you know aren't right for you? That's the important thing. So I definitely want to hear what you're working on. What act of self-love works most for you? For me, I'll talk a little bit about pampering. I have these chocolate face masks that I really like. They smell so good and they make me feel relaxed. But also, in doing more of the hard work, it's bringing awareness to how I'm limiting myself and actually taking action towards the things that I want. So if I have a question on my mind, I ask it. I love myself enough to want to give myself that peace. And it's such an important thing for me. It's been a really big breakthrough for me to just realize that I want something, so I'm going to let myself have it. I want to feel peaceful. I don't want to worry about this, so I'm going to ask the question on my mind. And I hope this helps. I hope it's not just like, oh, she's talking crazy about actually putting in effort, because it's important. It's really important to put in effort for the things that we care about and if we want to be happy. So I just hope that we look at self-love a little differently than what we normally do. And I really hope this helps. And if it does, let me know. And let me know what you're doing, what actions you take, and what exercises you do to show yourself some love in any given moment. So I will leave you with that, and I will see you all next time. Bye.